can't meet that because we've seen calls decrease from 15 to 16. So for section 5 of the IG, the city manager shall by June 1st provide the city of Ridgeside written notice of the cost for July 1st next meeting, next following. And that would be the cost of service remain at $65,887 for police services, $29,954 for fire services.
Question. It says here he went over 136 times this year, 2016. How many times a day do we go over there?
Chief? Judge, do you hear the question?
It varies, sir. If the shift is heavy loaded with calls, then they may get over there once or twice. If it's been a light day of calls, they may go 2 to 4 times.
So we're going to go, it's 365 days a week. Year. That comes up somewhere closely around 1,000 hours, a little over 1,000 hours a year. We break that down into the policeman's salary. And how much the policeman's salary? 22, 23,000?
Oh, no.
But come on, bring it
We're
out.
pushing, when you talk about a police officer's salary plus his fringe benefits, you're probably about average, what, about 45,000?
45, 47,000.
45 to 47,000 a year.
Now we say that 45,000 times 1,000 hours, and we're going over there, plus the 136 trips back and forth. Add that salary up and see how much we're spending on $65,000 for salary. We need to go over there. And we hadn't even talked about the rental of the car and the gas and the liability.
I don't disagree with your methodological approach, and I don't disagree with what you're saying, as a matter of fact. However, this contract doesn't say that in here. This contract basically says the cost of service under section 4 of local police and fire basically says in there up to 20%. And, I'm sorry, section 5. The city of East Ridge reserves the right to impose a surcharge for any renewals based on excessive calls for the prior year. Excessive calls means an increase in calls of 20% or more. I'm bound by this agreement as a city manager unless we decide we want to do not terminate this agreement. And in that case, we got to give them 6 months prior written notice. I don't understand why this was written this way. If I was looking to write the contract, I certainly would have a index or cost, because since we initiated this agreement in 2009, we're looking at a 3 to 4% increase in the salaries and benefits of these police officers over the past 8 years. And I agree with you on that. But this agreement doesn't say it. It tells me what the renewal is based on, so I'm bound by it.
The reason why I'm bringing it up is because in item B of this contract, it states that we must provide patrol.
I know.
So that's, patrol needs 3 shifts. And I know it takes a little over an hour to go over there, patrol through the city of Ridgeside or however.
Excuse me, why do you say 3 shifts?
But we have 3 shifts.
2. First 12 hours.
24 hours a day. Okay, so
2 shifts.
when I'm still on the old shifts.
I know. And we may do 3 shifts again, who knows?
Well,
But I'm still, that's what I'm getting at. And then we have, you know, if we're gonna go over our patrol list,
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you, but how, where in this, that city is gonna have to basically.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve this, but before the next time we come around to renew this, let's look at it and rewrite the contract.
I agree.
Well, I
I
think,
don't want to leave them without some type of police.
well, we gotta give them 6 months.
Right, but I mean, we need to,
I mean, if we call them right now, then we gotta give them 6 months from right now.
no, it says terminate without cause, I'll give it notice to the other part. Yes, you're right, 6 months, we gotta give them 6 months.
So we gotta give 6 months service.
Right, that's what I say, we can rewrite a contract.
So,
You know, give the attorney what you think it should be. I think we need to have a percentage in there for increases every year.
well, my costs are going up every year, why should that be passed on?
Right, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, you know, that's just, it's not fair to us as a city. They're getting police patrol services at 2009 costs.
I think we fixed this thing where we were charging them for what our residents pay.
That's how it was initially started. However, they didn't follow through. It didn't say that every year, if the costs go up, that cost would be passed on to them. That was how we initially started.
If we write a contract, they'll know that it's going to go up some on the next time, and they'll be.
Okay, I guess my question is, the motion that is what you're referring to, are you saying to give them 6 months' notice starting now? Or are you talking about fiscal year? Because I've got the fiscal year for 2018. It's July 1st, 2017 to June 30th, 2018. Coming in at 90, how much the total cost is? 90-some thousand.
96.
Well, they're working on-
$96,000 a year. Now, if I go to them, who got this budget, I go to them and they say, we don't want to renegotiate this. So we'll get it somewhere else. I'm just using it, I'm gonna be out $40-some thousand. That's one police officer. Or is the city prepared to take the money, the difference, to subsidize that for the next 6 months of the fiscal year, add a fund balance? I mean, is the 6 months gonna start tomorrow, or is the 6 months gonna start January 1st, so we would end it on a fiscal year? Municipalities' fiscal year is not like Georgia. Georgia can have any fiscal year you want. In this state, July 1st to
So
June
what would
30th.
you recommend, you're the city manager, what would you recommend we do?
I would recommend that we put them on notice now, but we fulfill the fiscal year of 17 to 18. That this contract start July 1st of 2017 and end June 30th, 2018, so we are able to provide them that service. Gives them ample time, we'll give them ample time between now, well, actually the next 12 months. And if they decide that they want out, that at least gives the city of East Ridge that opportunity to say, okay, fine, when I do the budget for 18 and 19, that,
You're 100,000 short.
exactly.
Give them notice now, they could elect to say,
It
terminate
says-
6 months.
Sure, it
It's
says
the same
either-
si- But we're in the same situation, we're gonna be,
I know.
I recommend that we actually know, put them on notice 12/31/17, that we're gonna terminate and renegotiate for the beginning of the next fiscal year budget.
Well, to be honest with you, this is a public meeting, we're all talking out loud. I'd say by tomorrow morning, the mayor of Ridgeside's gonna know about this anyway, okay? So, they have, as a party under Section 6, they have the right to say, well, we're gonna do it 6 months from now. So it's really,
But folks, we don't need to be paying for them to have public service, even though they're coming back.
I guess the question, and the chiefs may be able to answer it as well as anyone, are we losing on this deal? Is this costing us more than we're making? I mean, that's the bottom line.
Speaking on the fire side, I'd say no, I'd say we're making money. With the call we're going over there. We're not required to patrol, we're only, we're calling for service.
About $1,576 per call we're making.
I think that when we initially entered into this agreement in 2009, we were making money. But the day comes, because I'm not able to pass on to them the increases that we incur every year.
We're getting ready to buy,
Okay.
you know, we're
I
buying
mean-
new fire truck, people are about to look at buying.
Well, I'm talking just budget-wise. I mean, you know, police officer salaries in 7 years of their benefits, we've gone up at least 10 to 12% a year in the past 7 years on medical. Are they, they're paying the city of East Ridge, you know, the dollars that was computed back in 2009, that's, you know, I don't have all the figures here, but I could work them out pretty easy to find out what the officers were making, what that base salary was set at. If we're gonna sit down and negotiate, I think at least to be fair to the city, that when we have an increase, and we do, the budget's gonna show where the increases are from last year to this next fiscal year. And if it ends up being the police department and fire department combined is 3.2% increase, that 3.2% increase should be passed on. I've done a lot of interlocal agreements in my time. As a matter of fact, when I was in Boynton Beach, I had 5 of them providing fire service and ALS transport, with 4 barrier islands and 1 interior island. And we had that clause in there. When our costs went up every year, they got that. We didn't try to make money on it, to basis, and then when we go through an increase, they would get through an increase. They may be amenable to that. But sooner or later, fire may be not making something on it, but I doubt whether police is, because we're talking about 7-year-old costs, chief.
It would be breaking even. And that's,
You know, well, we're not considering two, but we go over there and investigate for break-ins. So there we've got a detective. I don't know how many hours a year they work over there. Then we gotta go to court downtown. Can't bring them out here.
No, yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you. Even I've had
Now, I've got
conversations on that.
a question for Mike. Now, you all had 19 calls over there this year, according to what I've got in front of me for 2016.
For 2016, through December, was 19 calls. Correct.
How many men per call was over there?
Depends on the type of call.
All right, on average then.
It's an EMS call, typically 2.
All right, what do you see in the EMS call?
EMS call was any type of medical emergency.
Do you send the little red Jeep or do you send the big red?
That's
fire
correct.
engine?
The first response vehicle responds over there. However, if that vehicle was on another call, then the engine company would be second out. So the engine company would take that second call, whether it's EMS or fire.
The average, so you're saying you gotta send 2 people over there?
Typically on average 2 people.
All right, what's the average time spent?
I would say probably anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes.
After you get over there?
From the time we receive the alarm to the time we terminate command and back to the city, probably 30 to 45 minutes.
We're saying we spent 19 hours of our last year.
If all the 19 calls were EMS calls.
No, I just counted them. They're in the agenda. Broken down, you got 9 EMS calls added 19. Towards the end of that section. 2016.
I'm just trying to figure out what the manpower hours cost us.
I'm sorry, 10 calls. There's 10.
If it's a motor vehicle crash, an engine company will respond on that, even though it is a medical call, because of the type of trauma that can be related to motor vehicle crash, engine company will go on that.
And you had one of those.
That's correct. And also a tree in the vehicle, because that being it could be a rescue type call, an engine company will respond on it.
Right.
I was trying to figure out the number of hours versus the 2 million, the average cost for the year, and see how much that's left out of the 29.9.
You know, take into consideration our firemen might make a lot less than our policemen do.
I understand.
You had to get that in, didn't you?
Take it every chance I get.
Councilor Wood. I would, or whatever the methodology winds up being for how we determine a cost going forward. I do believe, could be wrong, I think our contract with them is the largest part of their city budget. And they have no sales tax base, zero, because it's all residential. And so whatever we charge them is going to result in a property tax increase, almost assuredly.
But they get sales tax.
Well, they get state shared sales tax. They have no local option because there's absolutely no retail in there.
I thought that the local option sales tax was based on population, not point of sale.
The shared sales tax is.
So then what sales tax?
No, the state's sales tax is by population. Shared sales tax.
So there may be other options for them for law enforcement, that they could contract out for. Fire, we're the closest fire department without the city of Chattanooga. They lose our fire protection, they lose our ISO rating of a 2 also. Right now, they carry that since they have no commercial property.
So basically what I'm saying, I'm not opposed to an increase. Let's just not get crazy and say we're gonna double your cost, because that is gonna just, it's gonna kill them.
No, I'm not advocating that.
I'm just,
Well, I mean, even if you're talking about 95,000 a year, if you jump it to 125, it's still gonna be a big hit. And I think if you calculate the formula that's laid out here, you're probably gonna see a rate of about 125,000 come out of that. So, I mean, if we,
You're probably right, but they haven't had a rate increase for
that's
7 years.
and that's true,
You know, they
and
have-
that's true.
If we would have done that cost of living every year they would have a little bit. It's like, you know, we haven't had a water rate increase for 20 years, and all of a sudden you get whacked with a big 83% increase because you're making up for all the years you didn't have an increase.
what the Brian said, to extend it to January.
No, I think he said, I think, from what I understand, what you just said, that to notify them later this year.
Mid-budget year.
Mid-budget year,
So then.
of the 6 months.
Then
But they're gonna know that, anyway. So what I would recommend to the council that we keep this agreement intact for fiscal year 18 and 19 to June 30th, 2018. And I'll start sitting down with the mayor on the side, and we can start talking about this. And I'll bring something back to the council.
But I think the last time they come in, they want to come back with a negotiation. How many times we come over there during the day?
The city of Ridgeside County, compared to the city of East Ridge with the city of Ridgeside, I don't see you can do that. They have no commercial, they have, it's just not in comparison.
Well, I guess you could have it where you did no trouble and you just go over there when you call. You have to cut the rate down. If you want to agree to that, you know. The fire's gonna get called more than the police, they probably, I guess, I don't know.
And won't put the road up for last year.
But, I think it's like man hours that way.
It's kind of tough to say because on fire calls, 10 out of 19 EMS calls, I mean, you can't really govern that. Sometimes you get hit hard, other times you get an off year. So that's kind of.
So an accident call, we all go to, right? I mean, if it's a car wreck, it's supposed to be.
Yeah, you have to remember, one of the things that we get called on a lot are burglar alarms. And I've worked with Mayor Joe on that, trying to, at some point, monitor what alarms are repetitive, so she can address it with the residents. The other thing is, being there, you know, their subject mainly is car break-ins, smash and grabs, unlock doors, things of that nature. It's really hard, you know, but as you know, they hit us just as well and across the line in Georgia. So that's the two major portions of what we get. With the alarm calls leading the way.
I'm kind of, Brent, I don't want to put them in a bind, they really don't have a lot of options. I don't think Chattanooga will cover all. And the county, I call it police or medic there, every time when they get there, I mean,
If they do the county, if that was an option for them, the city of Lakeside, that was an option for them. And I think they had to fund for a patrolman and even a police car at the time for their agreement. Could be wrong on that, but I believe that's correct.
Well, if you basically look at the cost of what we're talking right now, $65,887 for police services, that will get you that police officer in a car. You, no. No, just pay for you, because you get $30,000, but, we send over a truck that's worth a heck of a lot more. And at least 2 officers, sometimes 3 can ride on that truck too. So depends on the nature of the call. That's a little different.
we pay the market rates.
Oh,
Well, let's have Mr. Miller budget into this year's budget and then advise them of what we're.
I'll sit down and talk with them. We got plenty of time between now and the next 6 months to really come up with it. And if we don't do anything, then the council can formally say, okay, fine, at the end of this calendar year, we can put them on notice to say we terminate the contract. If we don't come to some kind of conclusion in the next 6 months.
How many residents are they? I think you told us, and I forgot.
400, is that right?
Houses.
No, not houses, but I think residents.
There is,
Say,
another 300 homes, I believe, over there. It would be close to 400 homes, I believe.
so if you said 300 homes, and you done a 3% in cost of living increase.
I'm not necessarily saying that 3%
No, I'm just
needs to
throwing
be
numbers there, that's
Yeah.
$9.58 a home.
a year. Yeah, if we're looking at that short.
The city of Ridgeside is broke up into how many actions neighborhoods? 3. So I know they got the one big circular thing, and then they got the one before we get to it. Then down there where you.
That's correct, it's called Crescent Park, that's part of Ridgeside.
Yeah. Some part across Shelterwood Road is, it goes up to the ridge,
You've got Row Road and you've got South Seminole.
that's over there, that's part of it.
We've got 2 houses on South Seminole, on City of Ridgeside, and we've got 2 houses on Row Road, City of Ridgeside. The rest of that on Row Road is Chattanooga.
And everything on the right-hand side of Shelterwood Road is, that's the city of Ridgeside, the left side's Chattanooga.
Down past,
The swimming pool is Brookside.
yeah.
I don't think they adopted some of that
This-
in there, but he did, that they annexed him into Ridgeside.
Looks like the most recent population estimate was 415 people, residents.
Maybe less than 400.
162 residents.
163 homes?
And I haven't looked at their budget before, but and I hate to just kind of take a guess at it, but I will say this, I would think that the hall income tax would be a fair amount of their annual budget. And because it's being eliminated,
That's urban subsidies, yes, you're right. It's-
in particular with, I guess, their makeup there, that would probably be a fairly significant issue as well. Just Miller?
Let's
I
sit down.
think you got some ideas out of this, right? All right.
Since she's gonna probably find out about it tomorrow, you make sure we call her. Got it.
I'm not calling it tonight.
No.
You're right.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll just call the motion.
He withdraws his motion.
Draw the motion.
Okay, moving on to the final item, item J, discuss and or take action on proposal for engineering, permitting, and design services for gravity sewer repairs at I-75 exit 1 interchange.
Okay. It's easier if you will turn to the second page of the April 20th letter from SME, second page. It has a colored map on it. I'm going to refer to this map so you understand where we're coming from. The line that this memorandum addresses, and the line in question here, is the one that starts at Ringgold Road right at the corner and before you cross over I-75 on the west side. It's a 12-inch vitrified clay pipe that goes up where you see 59, and then it goes straight north from there. And where you see it has to be that replaced, that section right there is 25 feet deep, 12-inch. It's an old line. I've seen the pictures of this. Kenny and I both saw the pictures of this. It's got a horizontal fracture on the top. That could collapse, and if that collapses, the basin 10 will probably have to be shut down and a bypass system installed ASAP. We'd be in big trouble. So, if you'll see the new on-ramp that's being constructed, all that pink stuff in there is the ramps now, that's all going to be torn out. But you'll see the new ramp that's going over, that is going to cross over the top of that 12-inch VCP.
Between 32 and 31.
Yes, sir, between 31 and 32, right? That's the section that needs to be replaced, correct? That's the problem section. That's about 25 feet deep, got a fracture. And then with the weight of that new roadway on-ramp on top of that, WWTA and the consulting engineers feel that really could result in that line collapsing. So they are not going to sign off on the utility easement for the exit that's required by TDOT to start this project, to get the final approval on this project. Now, I've sat down and talked to them. This whole line going from 79 to 59, and 59, 32, 31, and 30, that whole line there, under the WWTA's proposed improvement enhancement project, is to be cut off. It's going to be abandoned. The new interceptor line, where you see that traffic signal located at the off-ramp of 75 South, we're looking at doing an interceptor line from those lines that you see, the green lines that are existing there, going northbound on the west side of I-75. Those plans have to be completed. They have to be approved by the Federal Highway Administration and/or Mr. Lucan, who's the property owner there. If they go onto his property, WWTA is trying to find out where they can build that interceptor line. That's the proposed plan. When that is built, they are going to abandon that section that goes through, that needs the repairs right now. That's still going to be part of the system. So that's why the cost is on us and not the WWTA. They're taking the care of costs of the improvement enhancements, but not this portion of it. I'll need to expedite this project. I mean, we've got approvals from all the other utilities except WWTA. And WWTA says if we approve this project tonight, hire the engineering firm of S&ME for them to proceed at a maximum fee of $60,530. You have a breakdown on the second page of my agenda memorandum. Get them to start work on this right away. That they will sign off on this with a conditional sign-off, and TDOT will accept that. So it's not going to hold back this project. Talking to S&ME, they can have all the design drawings and everything completed by the end of May. We can get this bid out. Now, this would be a two-pronged project, unfortunately. First part of it is a bypass has to be established because this line, 31 and 32, is an active line. It's got sewage running through it. It can't be shut down. So we got to build a bypass system first. Then we go in once the bypass system is established, and we replace that line between 31 and 32 with 12-inch DIP. Then we can open up, to take the bypass away, open that up, and when the interceptor line is constructed, someday, it could be in 6 months, could be, I don't think 6 months, a year or 2 years, then this area will be abandoned. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
So we're gonna be responsible for 32 to 31.
And the bypass, and the engineering. Yes, sir.
Bypass and engineering.
Yes, sir.
So we're not responsible from 32 back to 59, 78, 79.
We're gonna have to do a bypass there, yes. That bypass is actually gonna flow back to 73. I haven't seen them, but I have not get into the detailed plans. I'm just talking conceptuals right now.
This is a light project.
No. If we don't do anything with this, WWTA does not sign off on the utility, and TDOT does not advance this project. That's it, short and simple. Gotta have to sign off to all the utilities before a major project. And it's not a TDOT requirement, it's our requirement too. I mean, we won't do a road project until all the utilities sign off, and if the utilities don't sign off on it, we can't start the road construction project. To make this more complicated, and I'd hate to do that, if you see the east side of the interstate, where the new roadway is going to come in, you can see that there's an existing green line there that starts from the bottom and goes all the way up. It's on the right side of this diagram. That line there is a 10-inch line, and that is going to stay active. That is not going to be replaced or abandoned. They're going to keep that line open in their improvements and enhancements. They can do that by a procedure of slip lining within it, or what is called pipe bursting, where they actually jam another pipe through the other, bust it up, and replace it that way. They can do either way. They can make improvements to that line, but eventually, to get Basin 10 completed at $6.7 million, that the WWTA has just about received their funding from the State Loan Fund, SLF. To do this work, they will have an interceptor line. This outside line that I just talked about on the east side will be improved, but this middle section that goes under I-75, that's going to be abandoned. That'll eventually be abandoned because there's too many problems. There's a manhole in that system between 73 and 59 in the interstate. They don't even know where it's located. That's all these lines are. They can't find it. And I don't think the Federal Highway Administration is going to allow them to close 75 down when they find it. This whole area is bad stuff. Problem with VCP, when you get it over 50 to 70 years old, that all you need to do is peel away the dirt along the sides, and that VC, that the vitrified clay pipe, will just fall apart in your hands. How do I know that? I did a road project one time, and I didn't even account for for replacing the lines. When we started excavating, it was falling apart in our hands all the way down. So we had to put a whole new sewer line for the whole road project. I've dealt with this stuff before. The only thing worse than this is the Orangeburg pipe. And that goes back to the 30s and 40s. This stuff's old stuff, and that's the dilemma we're in.
So,
Good.
this may not be,
Am I right, Kenny? Did I leave anything out?
No, that's perfect. No fault.
Did they make our day?
It was not exactly what we were looking forward to.
So we're voting approval for $60,000 tonight.
Yes, sir.
I've got a question, and this may not be an easy one, because we're probably going to talk about redesigning plans and everything, but what if you built some type of span over that bridge, span for that on-ramp going north, over that section? Would that be design change, and it would then have to go back to the,
No.
go back?
No, you'll have to go back.
You would have to go back.
Yes, sir.
So I thought if we just span it, we wouldn't have to then,
We said something about that to WWT, that's not in the plan.
It's a good thought, but it would start us over with TDOT on
Yes.
that.
It would start everything over.
Yeah.
Start everything
Any
over
type
again.
of redesign, you have to go back from the very beginning to NEPA and start again.
Yeah, the Federal Highway Administration to sign off again, which is
We're
probably
not-
the longest part of the process, just to get that.
don't let it happen.
No, it's like I said, there's a.
There's no bad ideas.
No, it's a good idea.
It's already been asked, and we can't.
We're not beating you up.
I figured that the answer would be no, but I had to ask.
Too bad we didn't think of that at the beginning. So,
You know, the 60,000, is that gonna cover,
What's outlined in my memo? It's not gonna cover the construction
no,
costs.
I'm saying, is that gonna cover the engineering for the bypass also?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and
Yes, sir. The sig, yes.
31 and 32,
The engine, yes, the design and all that bit, yes,
okay.
yes. Kenny? Correct?
Yes, also, this is formerly Littlejohn Engineering, and this firm is also the one that you've seen out doing all the smoke testing in Industry Ridge. They're working in all of our basins, and they put the entire design together for the new interceptor line. So they cameraed every foot of sewer pipe out there. They've serviced and looked at every manhole, so that's the company that we're looking at right now. They know the system better than anybody does, and we know that they can work through this pretty quick to come up with a final solution so we can move forward, because literally, time is of an essence, and if we want to move forward with this project, we don't have a choice. The interstate project hinges on this getting through.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion.
thank you.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Any other questions, comments? I'm sorry, Diana, you cleared your throat, okay, I'm sorry, I thought you were.
Will you want this one come from the unsigned fund balance?
No, it's gonna come from the unfunded, but this is, it's reimbursable under the border region. This all goes in there. Now, I just wanna preface this. $60,000 is coming out of the border region dollars that we have coming in on an annual basis. And the construction of this, I'm not kidding, will cost $500,000 or more. That's gonna come out of the border region too, so we're spending money to get exit one done. So we gotta be careful in the future when we start committing, we're spending a lot of money on this project.
So we need to watch what you projected for up there on the new sidewalks and things with the Board of Regents.
I'm basically saying that all the projects I've set down with, we'd like to fund with the border region district. You're only bringing in $1.25 million now, less the $413 we've got to pay to the exit one. We just gotta keep that in the back of our mind, that we don't overextend ourselves, because, we can't submit, now, all this engineering, this $60,000 engineering is reimbursable from the board region. We'll put in for that this year. And we'll have it all spent by the end of this fiscal year. I'm sure it'll be done by June with all this engineering. We're gonna get all this thing right away.
Construction will be reimbursable also.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, it's part, it'll be part of the Exit One project. As well be the construction and as well be the beautification project that we do.
How about $500,000 there?
Could be, I hope not, but it could be.
Somebody just looked at $500,000 for beautification of nice sidewalks.
I'm sorry?
I was looking at $500,000, of course, good thing about spending that on the beautification for the sidewalks and the trees and the fence. But maybe we need to set that back to help in this construction cost.
Well, the only problem is, I understand what you're saying. We do have enough coming in to take care of that. It's some of the other projects that we get involved with.
So we need to see what the project is.
Well, I don't know if you do that during the budget process to look at that, but, I mean, we're gonna have a brand new intersection coming in there, new reconfiguration, traffic signals and all that. It'd be nice to have, Camp Jordan Parkway beautified to some degree. And that completes us over there.
All right, so we have a motion and a second for these engineering, permitting, and design services. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Stoll,
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle,
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton. Yes. Councilmember Williams,
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes. All right, thank you all for being here tonight. This meeting is adjourned.